Wouldn't fly swatter be easier?
Man who catch fly with chopstick accomplish anything.
Back then, the biggest underdog story was about a thin kid from New Jersey learning karate from the handyman in his apartment building, and his training was just normal chores like waxing cars, painting fences, and sanding decks. The Karate Kid came out in theaters in 1984 and became much bigger than anyone expected. Ralph Macchio played Daniel LaRusso, who moves to the San Fernando Valley and gets a crush on Allie Mills. That crush causes problems with the local karate champion Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka. Pat Morita received an Oscar nomination for playing Mr. Miyagi, the handyman who teaches Daniel that martial arts is not about fighting, but about balance, discipline, and free home repairs, something Tim Allen would probably love. The movie turned an $8 million budget into $131 million. Macchio became a teen idol, and an entire generation believed they could learn karate by doing chores in circular motions. But behind the famous crane kicks, the movie had its own crazy journey, including a producer who only saw one actor as a sitcom star, a main actor who was much older than his character, and a theme song that Rocky did not want. Today, we are counting down 15 strange and amazing facts about the Karate Kid. But before we begin, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with anyone who still shouts "sweep the leg" at the wrong times. Now let's get into the countdown with number 1. Ralph Macchio was 22 years old while playing a high school senior. Ralph Macchio was 22 when he played Daniel LaRusso. A full-grown adult was getting shoved into lockers by other adults who were pretending to be teenagers. His baby face was so believable that other cast members did not believe his real age. The filmmakers liked him so much that they rewrote the character, changing the name from Daniel Weber to Daniel LaRusso to better match Macchio's Italian background and Jersey attitude. Now, here's the thing. Macchio was not even the oldest fake teenager on set. William Zabka was 19, which at least put him close to real high school age. But several of the Cobra Kai members were already in their mid-20s, which explains why they looked less like school bullies and more like guys who should have graduated 5 years earlier. Macchio's youthful look became a running joke during his career. He kept playing teenagers well into his late 20s, becoming Hollywood's forever minor. Next time you watch Daniel's son getting bullied, remember that helpless teenager was old enough to legally drink a Budweiser. Number 2. The rider got attacked at the 1964 World's Fair. The Karate Kid was not created in a Hollywood meeting room. It came from real pain and one violent beating that changed Robert Mark Kamen's life in 1964. Kamen was attacked at the New York World's Fair and beaten badly enough that he made a promise to himself that it would never happen again. So he started training. His first teacher focused on raw, aggressive violence, which worked well for revenge fantasies, but not so well for inner peace. Eventually, Kamen discovered Okinawan Goju Ryu, a defensive style that focuses on using an attacker's aggression against them. That should sound familiar because it is exactly Mr. Miyagi's philosophy. Columbia hired Kamen because he had actually lived this experience. He was not just a screenwriter reading an encyclopedia between coffee breaks. That is why the script never feels preachy. Kamen was not lecturing anyone about peace. He was sharing something that took him years to understand. In the end, the best revenge turned out to be a crane kick and $130 million movie. Number 3. The producer could not see past Arnold from Happy Days. This sounds hard to believe now, but Pat Morita almost did not get the role of Mr. Miyagi.
Hi, Richie. Yeah, this Arnold. Everything is fine here. All the same, I still got a mustache. Yeah.
Producer Jerry Weintraub completely refused to let him audition. The problem was that Morita was known as Arnold from Happy Days, a comedian, and Weintraub could not see past the laugh track. Director John Avildsen felt very differently. He secretly recorded Morita's audition and surprised Weintraub during a production meeting by suddenly playing the tape in the middle of the conversation. Surprise, Jerry? Weintraub was impressed, but still stubborn. He made Morita audition 5 different times before finally admitting he had almost made the biggest mistake of his career. The twist is that the producers also considered Fumio Demura, the real karate master who later became Morita's stunt double. Demura was the real deal, a Shido Ryu champion who even trained Bruce Lee in using nunchaku. He could have destroyed Cobra Kai without breaking a sweat. Demura had the martial arts skills, but Morita had everything else. Together, they created one of the most loved characters in movie history. Morita earned an Oscar nomination, which is pretty impressive for a guy who almost got rejected because he once played a burger-flipping character on a sitcom.
Number 4. You're the Best was originally written for Rocky III. That tournament montage song, the one that is permanently stuck in your head, was not originally written for the Karate Kid. It was actually meant for Rocky III. Joe Esposito wrote You're the Best for Stallone's movie. But Stallone passed on it in favor of Eye of the Tiger, which, between you and me, I actually like better. Anyway, You're the Best sat on a shelf until the Karate Kid needed a song for its tournament montage. The filmmakers picked it, put it over Daniel San punching his way through the matches, and created an 80s anthem. The funny part is that the lyrics make no sense for Daniel's story. History repeats itself. He's a scrawny kid who literally learned karate just 3 months ago, but nobody cared because the song was amazing. Esposito himself has said he is grateful Stallone passed on it. Eye of the Tiger won a Grammy, but You're the Best got a movie where its over-the-top optimism actually made sense. Rocky's Reject became Daniel's victory song. Number 5. Elisabeth Shue got cast partly because of a Burger King commercial. Before Elisabeth Shue became Allie, she was a college student paying for tuition the old-fashioned way by doing television commercials.
And go to your phone. I want to make a bet with you. See, in a coast-to-coast survey, 3 out of 4 people said they like their burgers fixed their way.
Burger King, diamonds, and mayonnaise. If a wholesome blonde was needed, she was available. That Burger King ad, part of the Battle of the Burgers campaign, caught director John Avildsen's attention. He had considered Helen Hunt and Demi Moore for Allie, but Shue had that girl-next-door charm they needed, and apparently she sold a Whopper really well. She transferred to Harvard after getting the role, then left just 1 semester short of graduating to pursue acting full-time. She finally finished her degree in 2000, 15 years later. A Whopper commercial launched an Oscar-nominated career. I think she made the right choice. Number 6. The famous crane kick took more than 30 takes to get right. That final moment of Daniel balancing on one leg and then kicking to win the tournament is one of the most unforgettable images in 80s movies. It took more than 30 attempts to get it right. Avildsen wanted the shot low, wide, and perfectly timed. They tried every angle until they captured the one we all remember. Think about what is happening in that scene. Daniel is exhausted. His knee barely works after an illegal hit. He is limping, and the crowd is on their feet. Miyagi whispers one last piece of advice, and Daniel decides to try the most impossible move he has learned, standing on his injured leg. Johnny charges. Daniel kicks. Perfect contact. The tournament is over. Macchio deserves credit for the kick, but William Zabka deserves credit for selling the hit. Both actors gave it their all, and that is why it still works today. Number 7. Sean Penn and Charlie Sheen were originally considered for Daniel. Before Ralph Macchio became Daniel LaRusso, the role went through half of young Hollywood: Sean Penn, Charlie Sheen, Robert Downey Jr., Tom Cruise, Nicolas Cage, Emilio Estevez. The casting list looked like an 80s time capsule. Charlie Sheen says he was actually offered the part. According to his Netflix documentary, director Avildsen wanted him, but Sheen's father told him to honor a prior commitment filming Grizzly 2 in Hungary. He chose a Killer Bear movie over the crane kick. Sean Penn was also considered, but he reportedly passed. He had just finished Fast Times at Ridgemont High and was aiming for more serious dramatic roles. It is hard to imagine anyone else as Daniel now. Penn's intensity would have made the character very different, more brooding and less lovable. Macchio brought a vulnerability that made you actually root for the kid. Penn went on to win 2 Oscars. Macchio became known for a role still loved 4 decades later. Both ended up exactly where they were meant to be. Number 8. Pat Morita designed the bonsai logo on Daniel's gi.
That bonsai tree patch on Daniel's gi, the one that became the symbol of Miyagi and led to endless merchandise, was designed by Morita himself.
Hey, you know, if you ever want this patch back, I'll understand.
I know you understand.
He sketched it out, gave it to the wardrobe team, and said, "This is what Miyagi would want." And he was right. The guy spends half the movie caring about his tiny bonsai tree, so of course he would care about what goes on the gi. It also connects to one of the film's best scenes. Miyagi gives Daniel a bonsai, talks to him about roots and choosing his own path, and then Daniel enters the tournament wearing that symbol. Most actors just wear whatever wardrobe gives them, but Morita created something that is still on t-shirts 40 years later. Quick pause from waxing on and waxing off, and no, not in that way. Be honest, did you ever try the crane kick in your backyard and almost wipe out? Drop your confession in the comments below, and be sure to hit that like and subscribe buttons while you're there.
All right, let's get back into the countdown with number 9. You can still visit Daniel's apartment complex. The Karate Kid was not filmed on a Hollywood backlot made to look like California. Director John Avildsen took the production to real San Fernando Valley locations. Daniel's apartment complex is actually the South Seas Apartments on Satakoy Street in Reseda. It's still there, still called South Seas, and fans still visit to take photos. The beach where Daniel meets Ali is Leo Carrillo in Malibu. The high school is a real junior high in Woodland Hills, and the All-Valley tournament took place at the Matadome at Cal State Northridge. The one exception was Miyagi's house. That backyard oasis with bonsai trees and a koi pond was all built for the movie. The Japanese garden, the junkyard, and even fake train tracks around a real house. By the time they made The Karate Kid 3, the property had been demolished, and they had to recreate the whole thing on a soundstage.
Number 10. The parking lot scene took 3 years to film. The ending we know, Daniel wins, the crowd goes wild, freeze frame, credits, that was not the original plan. The script kept going. After Daniel's victory, the story continued into the parking lot, where Kreese completely loses it.
Mercy is for the weak. We do not train to be merciful here.
He yells at Johnny, snaps his trophy in half, and starts choking the kid. Miyagi steps in, humiliates Kreese without throwing a punch, and the Cobra Kai students drop their belts around their broken sensei. It was written, rehearsed, and ready to be filmed. Then the producers stopped it. Test audiences were already tired after the tournament, and adding another 5 minutes of confrontation took away the high. The studio wanted people leaving the theater feeling victorious, not beaten down in a parking lot. The scene stayed in a drawer until part 2 needed an opening. They finally filmed it, and it worked even better as a prologue, a reminder that winning the tournament didn't fix everything.
Number 11. Ralph Macchio still owns the trophy and the car. Macchio got attached. Decades later, he still has the All-Valley Tournament trophy, the actual prop Daniel held up in that famous freeze frame. It's somewhere in his house right now. But that's not all. He also kept the yellow 1948 Ford Super Deluxe, the wax-on, wax-off car that made a whole generation think car detailing was basically martial arts training. After Part 3 wrapped, Columbia Pictures delivered it to his house on a flatbed. He didn't even have to pay for it. And there's more. Macchio named his son Daniel. The man who played Daniel LaRusso in a role that defined his career looked at his newborn and said, "You know what? Daniel." His daughter is named Julia, so at least the whole family didn't get character names. Some actors try to distance themselves from career-defining roles. Macchio kept the car, kept the trophy, and named his kid after the character. Number 12. The giant plot hole that only the book fixes. Here's something that might have confused you without realizing it. Why is Daniel's mom working at a restaurant? The whole reason Lucille LaRusso moves her teenage son from New Jersey and drags him across the country is for a job at Rocket Computers. That's the setup. That's why Daniel's life gets, to quote Will Smith, flipped and turned upside down. Then the movie never mentions it again. Suddenly, she's waitressing, Daniel is getting beaten up by rich kids, and nobody explains what happened to the computer job. The answer exists, but you have to read the tie-in novel to find it. According to the book, Rocket Computers went bankrupt before Lucille even started. She moved her whole life for a job that disappeared before she could even clock in.
It's actually a harsh detail that adds real stakes. The LaRusso family isn't just new in town, they're stranded. There's no safety net, no backup plan. They live in a rundown apartment complex because that's all they can afford. Daniel's desperation and his mom's exhaustion make sense once you know they're surviving a disaster, not just adjusting to a new zip code. Hooray for books. Kind of.
Number 13. Clint Eastwood banned Coca-Cola because of this movie. Have you ever noticed how many Coca-Cola products appear in The Karate Kid? There's Coke, Sprite, Minute Maid, all conveniently placed throughout the film.
Any friend material?
Yeah, some couple guys. I gotta go.
Sit down and eat first.
No, I'm not hungry.
That's because Coca-Cola owned Columbia Pictures at the time. Corporate synergy, baby. Film historians say this period, from 1982 to 1989, was the start of modern product placement. Before that, brand logos were just background details, but after, they became mandates written right into scripts. The Karate Kid, Ghostbusters, Stripes, all part of the same corporate experiment. Ralph Macchio hated it. He especially hated a breakfast scene where he had to say Minute Maid out loud like he was filming a commercial. In protest, he deliberately covered a Sprite logo with his hand in Miyagi's workshop. When they made him reshoot, he exposed it for as little screen time as possible. Now, here's where it gets petty. Clint Eastwood was actually in talks to direct The Karate Kid on one condition. His son Kyle had to play Daniel. Columbia said no, and Eastwood walked away, banning all Coca-Cola products from his film sets forever. Clint Eastwood versus Big Soda, all because his kid lost a role to Ralph Macchio. That's Hall of Fame level grudge holding. The movie still became one of 1984's biggest hits. Coca-Cola got their product placement, Macchio got to sneakily cover logos whenever possible, and Clint spent the next 4 decades drinking Pepsi out of spite. Number 14. The Karate Kid became a franchise phenomenon. The success of the original film launched a series that is still popular 4 decades later. Part 2 took Daniel and Miyagi to Okinawa in 1986, and Part 3 brought Terry Silver's revenge plot in 1989.
Say it, Cobra Kai. Never dies.
The next Karate Kid gave us Hilary Swank in 1994. The 2010 remake moved the story to China, starring Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. At the time, most fans assumed it existed in its own separate universe. Then came Cobra Kai. The 2018 series picks up 34 years after the original, following a down-on-his-luck Johnny Lawrence and the successful businessman Daniel LaRusso as they reignite their rivalry through competing dojos.
Jersey, he and I got into it a little bit. This guy really had it in for me.
Yeah, well, you did move in on my girl.
YouTube launched it, and Netflix made it a phenomenon. It ran for 6 seasons until wrapping in February 2025. Cobra Kai didn't just revisit the original, it reimagined everything. Was Daniel really the hero? Was Johnny the victim? Suddenly, a simple underdog story had layers nobody expected. Then, Karate Kid Legends hit theaters in May 2025, officially connecting the 2010 remake to the original timeline by teaming Macchio's Daniel with Jackie Chan's Mr. Han. One scrappy 1984 movie about a kid from Jersey became a multi-generational franchise spanning 4 decades, 6 films, and a 6-season TV series. Wax on, wax off, for 41 years and counting.
Number 15. The Karate Kid knew zero karate. Here's the thing about the star. When Ralph Macchio showed up on set in 1984, he couldn't throw a punch to save his life. He had taken a few jiu-jitsu lessons as a kid around age 10, but that was it. No real martial arts training. Writer Robert Mark Kamen later described him as a skinny little string bean with zero coordination for karate. What Macchio did have was tap dancing. He started lessons at age 3, and that background gave him the coordination and discipline to learn complex choreography, even if he'd never thrown an actual kick. Fight choreographer Pat E. Johnson took it from there, training Macchio for months before filming in Okinawan Goju Ryu, the same defensive style Mr. Miyagi would have practiced. Johnson's approach was precise. Teach Macchio exactly what he needed for each shot, rehearse it until it looked convincing, and film it before muscle memory faded. Meanwhile, the Cobra Kai actors trained separately in more aggressive styles, keeping the on-screen tension authentic. The tournament scenes that feel so triumphant, that's painstaking choreography designed to make a tap dancer look like a karate champion. For years, Macchio joked about fans assuming he was a real martial artist. People would approach him expecting black belt wisdom, and he'd have to explain that Daniel LaRusso's skills didn't translate to the guy playing him. But Macchio didn't stay a novice. Over 4 decades of sequels and 6 seasons of Cobra Kai, he kept training. What started as memorized choreography evolved into real skill. Then, in April 2025, it became official. Ralph Macchio earned a real black belt in karate. A month later, during the Karate Kid Legends premiere, the World Karate Federation awarded him and Jackie Chan honorary black belts for their contributions to martial arts culture. The actor who inspired millions of kids to sign up for karate classes while secretly knowing almost nothing about the discipline finally earned the rank for real. 41 years after the crane kick, the Karate Kid became a karate adult. And there you have it. 15 weird facts about the Karate Kid that prove there's way more to this movie than wax on, wax off, and sweeping legs. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We have more deep dives coming your way into the movies that shaped the 80s.